Like, do you think that's going to be true here for these players, or do you expect something else?
I expect mostly tonks. I think there's going to be maybe some karma, maybe, yeah, mostly maybe karma, but usually it's most likely going to be karma mid lane, and then just if they have a good mid laner to pick, they will just put karma support because it's like on a right champ anyway. But it's most likely going to be tonks.
We're not going to focus too much on the entire draft here because that's for the A stream. We're just going to look at, for example, like what rotations would we see like bot lane picks come through? Because like back in the day, supports were picked very early. For a time, there was a brief stint in like Spring Split where supports were even locked in as a 5th pick.
Oh,
right now.
Ban.
Where are they coming in right now? And yeah, we see the first like
last time these teams drafted, there was actually already a draft made where Fnatic picked Tahm Kench for support, and they're already Jhin logged in, and H2K had a Karma flex pick, and they're about to pick AD. And I think in that game there was a really obvious Karma Sivir bot lane coming in, and that was going to be a strong lane. So I think H2K will stick with that, and they will pick AD later than Fnatic. And the Lucian ban kind of hints that FNC wants to pick Sivir early on, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that coming in anytime soon.
You say that, is that because Lucian's, in your opinion, a lane counter to Sivir?
It's not necessarily a counter, but it's very good at level 6. Lucian finds Sivir anywhere, he can kill her 1v1, the cooling is really good against Sivir, she can't block that out. In lane phase I think it's kind of 5-5 depending on the support matchup. So,
yeah.
But it's the players prefer the jump against Sivir. Caitlyn's also very good, but Caitlyn kind of falls off after lane phase.
Yeah, as you said, you need to win it really hard.
Yeah.
Mithy, like Tahm Kench was picked here previously by Fnatic in first rotation. Do you agree like that Tahm Kench is just a really good opener? For me, it seems like he can't do anything wrong by picking Tahm Kench in first rotation.
I think basically Tahm Kench right now is the strongest support in lane, I'd say. Even against ranged champions, you can lane it against pretty much anything. And it's also really good at map play because your ult is now useful. You can actually ult in games now when you're playing Tahm Kench, and it's really, really strong. So Tahm Kench is probably the safest support pick you want to blind pick. But yeah, Braum, for example, can do more in terms of team fights or small skirmishes than Tahm Kench can. Also a very good pick against Echo, and as you said before, the Sivir comes out as a first pick here with the Lucian ban.
Is this risky, going like Braum Sivir? To me, it feels like a lane that is kind of abusable.
It has its counters, but it's overall a pretty good lane that is good at farming safe. If you try to be aggressive against Braum, he can punish you if you try to make a move, but something like a Karma support or Trundle here is very good as well. It's strong against Sivir against Braum too. It's also a pretty good jump in the mid game, and I think for AD carry you can go. Lucian is obviously banned, so you have to go for something that doesn't win lane so hard. Maybe Caitlyn is an option, but
what about Ashe? That's seen so much play in this meta.
Ashe is a good jump, but against both Sivir and Braum, it feels like you're not really doing what you want to do with Ashe. You can't arrow anyone, and in lane phase, your volley can get absorbed by the spell shield, so it's not the greatest lane. Sivir.
I think Braum Sivir is pretty much an unlosable lane. Like you can lane against nearly everything. Maybe Caitlyn is a problem, but even then I think you can go equal against 90% of the lanes. So I think it's a fine thing to first rotate. And since H2K kind of realized that it's probably not a good chance for them to like win lane or pick a pressure lane, they just went for something safe, something useful. Tristana useful later, Taric really strong later in the game and good against Braum in lane.
Now Tristana is like a demolitionist. We've seen in the past that if she gets access to a tower, she can blow it up a lot. Do you think in this matchup, Tristana Taric versus Sivir Braum, Tristana will ever get to the tower enough to
no,
blow it up?
never. If both the 2v2s are good, the Braum Sivir are gonna push them in, and they're just gonna have pressure in the, like Tristana is probably gonna farm equal if the Taric is good and helps her asset, but Sivir and Braum are gonna have pressure in the lane for the whole lane phase pretty much.
Yeah, Sivir is very good against Tristana because you can spell shield the bomb after it's already on you, so when it explodes you just absorb it, and then it's basically just auto-attack straight, but Sivir has the boomerang blade and the W reset attacks, so it's really straight for Sivir against Tristana in lane. But at level 7, Tristana has more and more range, so I think it's going to be an equal lane where Sivir and Braum has the push going for them. Taric is also kind of useless in lane, he can't do anything to Sivir at all, so it's going to be like an AFK lane where they're going to farm probably.
So to me, it feels like H2K didn't really use their counter pick potential here. Counter bot lane, do you guys think this is built into a bigger comp? And do you agree? Because I don't see Tristana as like a higher tier 80 carry currently.
Yeah, they did, but the thing is it's really hard to get a winning matchup against Sivir Braum, honestly. Maybe Trundle, but even Trundle is not going to win, it's just going to pressure the lane, I guess. Yeah.
I think it's because the Lucian ban is there. I think if there was a Trundle open and Lucian open, they would maybe went for Trundle Lucian. It's a very punishing lane at level 6. One pillar can really mess you up and have you make use of heal or something. So since the best champ against Sivir was banned, and they don't want to be too useless later on, so they just went for a strong lane that is good scaling, fine in lane phase, and Taric and Tristana are very good in team fights and later in the game. So
yeah.
they kind of went for the more useful jumps later in the game versus the better lane phase. And it's kind of uncharacteristic for Febiven and Vander, but I think it's the best call here.
Sivir, the laning phase, thank you for the comp. They finished their draft right now, so we can actually look at the comp a little bit. Vladimir mid, Echo top 10. Double AP comp here with like Jankos in the jungle on Elise. Do you think the standard lanes meta, like 2v2, is just better for Jankos to find ganks? And do you think he'll actually come bottom lane? Because it seems very hard to gank Sivir.
You can kill... No.
I think going bottom is useless. No, don't go bottom ever unless Braum is trolling at tower or something like that. But they will never kill Braum. He will just jump to Sivir, he will get healed, exhaust worst case, and he will never die.
On the other hand, though,
yeah,
I'd say that Fnatic has pressure lane on bot lane. They will not get a CS advantage, but they will have the pressure going, and then they have GP and Lissandra on top of that. So I think there is going to be a bot lane party at some point in Fnatic's.
Do you think that's a strategic counter against, like, yes, you can draft for bot lane parties, but do you think specifically as Febiven, it's wise to draft a bot lane counter?
Memes aside, I don't think that's the plan, but Gangplank and Lissandra both have the ultimate from Gangplank and the roaming potential from Lissandra, and Nidalee is more of a pressure jungler.
Yeah.
She doesn't really gank you, she just lanes around the tri-bush, throws a spear. If it hits, it's nice. If it doesn't hit, it's unlucky. She has a heal, maybe the rep off gank, the famous I'll attack you 3 times with rep off gank to chunk you. So overall, I think that H2K is looking to play this game on top side of the map with Echo who is good against GP, and Elise is good at ganking. So I think that it's going to be kind of a split map, where FNC will probably have the jungler everywhere, whereas Elise can't really gank the bot side of the map, I think.
I think that the main problem is that, now not really talking about bot lane, but I think that Lissandra loses to Vladimir and GP loses to Echo quite hard, I'd say, and then on top of that they have an Elise jungle, so I think even though they can make parties bot lane happen, Fnatic is going to have a tough time on the top side of the map.
Yeah, because they'll likely be pushed in right now. Coach is shaking hands.
Beautiful.
We don't have to go into the full hype moment because we can keep the stream pretty relaxed here. I honestly can't wait. So in this matchup, sadly, there won't be too much action predicted by you guys, but if somebody's gonna win the lane, given the champions, are you going to change your prediction of like Wrecking Crew versus Zven and Vander?
No, matchup-wise, as in champions only, it's definitely a Wrecking Crew for this one. But player-wise, or how the game is going to play out, it could be either way. But I still think that if Fnatic bot lane wants to be serious about their careers, they should win this matchup, or at least go equal, you know. So.
And about the bigger picture, this series, any broad predictions before we go into game 1? 5 games, 4 games, 3 games? Who's going to take it?
Oh shit.
My heart says Fnatic, but I think H2K, judging from the last time they met, is way better. So H2K win, but I hope Fnatic wins.
Can I judge after 1 game? Or is
you can judge after you can judge after 5 games, Mithy, and then you can give your prediction. All right, now we get into the interesting part for me. You guys can stand up or keep sitting as you see fit.
Let's see.
We might have a level 1 shenanigan here.
Yeah. What's the new level 1 meta right now? Because we see a lot of contention around like the first brush.
Well, YellowStar was known for invading level 1 with Braum before this patch happened, and nowadays a lot of people invade level 1, 5-man somewhere just to get 1 flash, and then they're like, oh, nice, this guy's not flash, let's camp him now, you know, or something like that. But it seems like some teams go for the deep ward to scout the enemy jungler's starting position, because now that there's no lane swap anymore, you can actually start both side if you want to as jungler, or as on the other side of the map, you can choose yourself. So as you saw there, H2K just got a deep ward on the red buff of FNC. So now Jankos will have that information.
And this ward right here, Mithy, that we're seeing on stream here that YellowStar placed, why are people placing that in
well,
this meta?
as a support, now that no one goes mid, the mid laner can go on the pixel brush on the river, and you can go to the lane, basically, and you can ward it if you want, but I think the ward is pretty useless. I mean, they want to try and cheese here or something, but it doesn't really do anything unless H2K does something crazy. But most of the times you just want to not get like cheesed on by the whole team walking into that brush and then going and killing your AD carry or forcing his flash, and you want to just have a standard level 1 or force a flash on someone else.
How common do you think this is as a strategy, and is it sustainable to kind of wait in this brush and hopefully punish them after they do Krogs?
It works more often than you would think it would, but honestly sometimes the camp doesn't really matter. It's just about having the better lane position, or like the ability to push first and just have the better lanes set up. Like look here, Febiven can't really walk up right now.
But he is level 2.
Yeah,
do you think it was a mistake going for the Taric as opposed to...
I think Fnatic should have maybe pushed away a bit harder so they have better position in lane. Now they're gonna get pushed a bit. Well, obviously Sivir's lane push is still very, very strong, and Tristana's level 2 all in. It's not like something like the Lucian or, you know, a strong level 2 jump, so it doesn't really affect too much.
Mithy, if you're Braum here, do you go for a Q1 Forgiven instead of the Taric?
No, I would have gone on Taric. Taric was tanking 2 casters, so I would have gone on Taric, but
And we see a very early word from Rekkles. I don't think he should have put that ward down. He should have the information that Elise started top side, and I don't think Elise can spot even get a kill. So I think he could save his ward for the brush. Now FNC used a ward level 1 by Braum and 1 by Sivir, so they have no brush ward, so that can make Taric be more annoying in the brush, and he can juke around in there.
Surprising that both... okay, so Braum is running Bond of Stone instead of Grasp. If he was running Grasp, he would be able to really like pressure this lane, I think. I would run Grasp. Just I have aggressive playstyle.
So yeah, just to give a little bit of extra sustain. We see an early contestation of like Scuttle Crab. Even if we watch LCK, Score does that a lot too in synergy with teams. Is that like as important, more important right now since a lot of these lanes just want an AFK push?
It looks like they're just trading the maps right now, and Jankos and Spirit are doing this same kind of pattern, except for Spirit did the crap. But as I said in Champ Select, it's going to be a map trade where Jankos is going to be on the top side of the map, whereas Spirit will going to be on both sides of the map, just due to the way the lanes are, like bot lane winning, top side losing, so can't really gank anywhere, so he will just farm and be on both sides of the map, and yeah. And here I think we will see a spell shield. Oh,
oh, he has lag.
His keyboard is well, that one sucks.
That happened a lot to you in game 1 of a best of series, that your keyboard isn't as quite connected as you would like.
It happens. But
yes.
The trade there should be that he spell shields, and then it basically does all attacks for all attacks, but he gets the mana back, and then he can have the Boomerang Blade level 3. So trade should have been good for Rekkles, but he kind of mispicked there on his keyboard. So yeah. Next trade.
Still, both teams are playing fine. There's not really much going on. Like we said.
Could be a flash. No. A heal and exhaust.
Maybe it was an elaborate ruse where you failed a spell shield to make them a little bit overconfident.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
cocky
definitely
movement you guys call it usually.
Yes. No, cocky movement is when you try to hard to juke something and you end up using your flash anyway. And yeah, when you try to juke, but there we just saw the classic Nidalee is bot side and H2K's bot lane is playing a bit too aggressive, I think, when they knew that Elise was top side and Nidalee was bot side, and they just had to cost 2 summoners for them there, even though Sirius failed spell shield again.
Is that what tempers a lot of aggression? Because when we watch it as observers, we see like, okay, why aren't they fighting? Because there's always just the threat of the jungler. Like, how aware are you guys usually of where the jungler is? Like when you watch a replay, have you then correctly in hindsight predicted where the jungler was, or do you get surprised still very often that he was really close nearby?
Yeah, that's more the support's job to look at him. Ah, that sucks. But in general, it's support that looks at the minimap more than the AD carry, I think. I kind of like... I don't play lock camera, but I have this meme where I say I'm playing lock camera because I can't see the minimap ever when I'm laning.
Usually I know most of the time where the jungler is, and if I don't know, then we play accordingly, as we don't know where the jungler is. Here what happened top was just... like Nidalee came bot to gank bot, and it was pretty obvious that the Elise was on the other side of the map trading jungles, and it's... I guess a bad thing that Gangplank died there when his matchup is already pretty doomed. Yeah.
We see Rekkles ahead here slightly in CS despite the gank. Also, trading like CS for like a lane advantage, like is it ever worth on the professional level to kind of drop 1 or 2 CS to then get a good poke on your opponent, or should you just always go for the farm?
If you get a really good trade, like you do a big chunk, you know, or this might be a kill on the Braum. He's way too far up. He has flash and heal. Good flash. Spell shield was not available.
Spirit's coming in for the counter though here. Is H2K gonna get baited in?
Oh, close spear. So in general, at the jungle thing, you play as aggressive as you can, but you need to always be in mind that if jungler is there, will you die or not? So as I said earlier, FNC's bot lane can't die to ganks unless they are really, really trolling. And here they use 3 summoners, but they still survive the gank.
And that was like the worst case scenario where they get double stunned and
Oh, Jankos is fighting Spirit. Good propel. So yeah,
but there's pressure here right now, and with the solo laners hitting level 6 soon, is this like a breaking point for H2K once the Gangplank hits level 6, or are they still in a good position?
I think H2K is going to be in a fine position. I think when...
The reason Tristana is down in CS is mostly just because, like we said at the start, Sivir is just going to push like she's doing right now, and just going to try and deny as much CS as possible under tower. Tristana has a hard time hitting, and that's basically it. I think there's not going to be much action in the lane.
Tristana has done a pot now too, and he's half HP, so soon they're going to be pressured a bit. Sivir can actually get mana back from the Tristana's passive on the E, the minion explosion. Actually give him mana, so he could be a bit cheeky and get some mana from there, but now the bomb hits him, and he'll be able to get some mana back from the bomb.
Then he has to use spell shield. So is it actually...
Oh, it's not lagging.
A theory I've had in the past is that it's actually worth against Sivir just not to trade ever on her at all and let her go out of mana.
Yeah, the only thing is if you just let her go out of mana, she will eventually just start hitting you. So I think right now what H2K bot lane needs is to base somehow. Need Jankos to combo in, help them push or something like that. Just Gank to make the wave push out so they can base and get that BF sword. I think he has to go for it, definitely.
Yep.
And then I think once they have the same items, they should be fine. But in general, Sivir just pressures the matchup due to the way the special works with the bomb Tristana has. So.
And looking at the item builds, what does Tristana want to build? Is she like a Ghostblade carry or like an Infinity Edge still, or what's your preferred build?
Tristana is the most IH jump you can get, I think. Only auto attacks and a spell that doesn't like ult is magic damage, right? So you go I think you go BF sword and then you go Ruins Hurricane. It's the most common build that I see the most. If you can't get a BF sword, you get a pickaxe and then you go Ruins afterwards. Then just standard, you get the IH after the Hurricane and you go into something like either a rapid fire cannon or a PD and then you finish out with Last Whisper.
What's the way out for H2K? Because they seem to be pincered in here now. Spirit obviously
Spirit is just gonna play.
Takes a bit.
Yeah, so
he will not die, and he was just gonna play to bot side. And Fnatic bot lane has pressure, so they just wanna keep the pressure, not let the H2K bot lane base. And like you were saying that you can make the Sivir go but as Zven said, Sivir can just walk up to a creep, and right before Tristana is gonna kill it, even if Tristana doesn't bomb the Sivir, she can just stand next to a creep and press E, and the explosion will give him mana. So.
Is this a good base timing here?
No,
I think that was a horrible base.
Yeah.
He should never have pressed B there. He should have definitely just stayed in lane. Now he gives Tristana a free chance to push out the wave here, and he will base. And also, I think Sivir will lose a few creeps. Braum will try to freeze the wave. So in terms of minions, it's good, but FNC bot lane had the pressure in his lane, and they should not have given it up like that.
If he freezes right here and they switch sides of the map, like to top side, is that a mistake? Or will Sivir just instantly push
it's
out
not
once
a
he
bad
gets
call,
there?
but Gangplank has the ultimate. So if you go top right now, Gangplank will simply ult the wave while your bot lane pushes the tower. Although you have Echo to wave clear, so it's kind of equal in that sense. I think it's not a bad call, but I think against Gangplank it's not the best. He has so much wave clear and the ultimate is too good.
I think the reason they I think the reason they swapped, even though Sivir doesn't have the best base and could have pressured the lane more, was basically the Gangplank is having a really hard BG and they just want to like swap lanes as soon as possible and really avoid the Echo GP matchup, which yeah, you kind of have to look at the big picture sometimes and not just focus on winning your lane.
Actually, I was lost for a moment there. I thought you asked me about if H2K wants to swap, but of course for FNC it's a great swap because they also have the Gangplank ultimate as I mentioned. So in lane swap it's a good call by Fnatic to swap.
Yeah, and then H2K is maybe just predicting this then.
I think H2K made a good call to go top there. But Echo has a good wave there too, you know, with the Time Winder, so it's not that bad for anyone.
We can look at items here. We have like a BF sword, pickaxe on one side, and boots 2 BF here. Who wins out on the base, do you think, given the items?
Well, it depends. If Tristana is pressing Q with the steroid and hitting more with plus 25 AD, he will win the trade. But if Sivir can...
I think the tier 2 boots are smart because Sivir is now going to get outranged and the tier 2 boots are going to make him not get abused by the longer range of Tristana. The Moe boots, on the other hand, of YellowStar are a bit questionable in my opinion, especially when you have a champ that can't really roam so well, and the enemy mid laner and jungler, like you can't really gank them either. So I'm not really understanding on the Moe boots take.
How heavy do your item build depend on the combination of you and your jungler? We see some trading going on. We'll jump back to it once they start actually killing each other.
Spell shield.
But Mithy, another failed spell shield? Sven?
Yeah, another failed spell shield. It's not going too good for him, SQ there. I think the boots can allow you to do more damage sometimes. You can walk up Taric, hit him one time and run away from him with the boots. You can juke the E. So sometimes having the MS allows you to hit some more than the pickaxe would let it do.
You guys are spoiling, obviously. Mithy and Zven are finally finding out that we have two screens.
Oh shit.
To our right and left that are 5 seconds ahead, so they sometimes see the future.
Okay.
See you guys next Tuesday.
Joke. I hope it's not audio issues.
I hope you guys prepared some filling topics. I'm used to this, but yeah, we have a small pause. We're waiting for production to hopefully tell us what's going on. Meanwhile, we can talk a little bit about...
I wanted to say, before you start, I want to say something about the Fnatic bot lane swapping. Even though the enemy team has Echo and they have a really hard time, like Echo can clear the waves and it's quite hard even for the Fnatic bot lane to push. The fact that they have Braum means they can stop the Q. I don't know what the name is of the Q, but they can stop it. And thanks, man.
I got you covered.
If you want some caster cheating tricks, you can just click on the champion on your screen and then you hover, and you go read. That's like when we speak very slowly, what we do is actually we're going on our computer, click on Echo, and like Echo obviously is using the time winder here.
I thought you were smart, Krepo.
No.
But you're just cheating.
Cheating. Anyways,
Okay.
continue. Time Warner gets blocked by Braum Shield.
Yeah, and that means that one team can get the wave into the tower and hit the tower and
So
maybe dive the echo.
meanwhile, you block the time winder, the AD carry hits the tower a few times, and then if Echo goes for to hit the wave, Braum can Q him, and Sivir can auto attack him, W reset on him, get stun off, and get a good chunk off. So obviously Echo nowadays doesn't build tank anymore. He goes Triforce first, so he's actually not a tank. He actually can get chunked really easy. So with the Braum shield, you can get tower pretty easily, and GP ult can just ult worst case on the tower.
I just got the news. There is an audio issue on the side of Fnatic, so hopefully that gets resolved.
So
what does this do to you guys?
So what are you doing next Tuesday, Sven?
If you're in game Mithy and you have a pause, either on your side or the other side, does it affect your mentality a lot, or what's the limit before Mithy breaks? 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute?
I think it depends on how the game is going. Now I would look and I'll press tab and be like, my GP is having a BG. And then I'll just breathe deep and be like,
well,
it's
BG,
okay.
we're explaining things here, the very basics. BG stands for?
Bad game.
Bad game, okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, on the other hand, if you're Sivir, you're pressing tab and see, oh baby, FNC Wrecking Crew is up 11 CS on God Given here, you know. So you're sitting there, yes man, I'm so good, you know.
Rekkles right now wishes he could open Twitter just to see Wrecking Crew trending again.
He would love to tweet right now, haha.
But CS AMA.
Yeah. I think overall, both the junglers are going to be pretty useless later on in team fighting. But I think, I don't know. I don't like the junglers in both of these games. Vladimir and Echo kind of bulldozers that run into the enemy team and just run over them. And Elise is there doing nothing. You know, it's only for early game pressure. And Nidalee is kind of the same. It doesn't really have that much tools. I really prefer tanks over this early game junglers.
There was the Gragas available. Do you think that would have been a better pick?
In both comps, yes, but it has way less early game pressure against Nidalee and Elise especially. So I think junglers are kind of just early game pressure, and then at 20 minutes, team carry or
Yeah. Do you think Fnatic is gonna move into like typical 1-3-1 later on?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's pretty clear by their comp. What about like H2K with a Vladimir? Because some Vladimirs like playing on side lanes, but the other ones prefer being in the mid lane.
The thing with Vladimir is that he has Ghost because of the way Vladimir plays, and that means at minute 20 when Nash is spawning, Vladimir must be topside, and unless he's mid, and then the dual lane stop. So Echo is both against the TP, who's either Lissandra or Gangplank. So in that way, FNC has more options because they have 2 TPs.
Yeah, we're back in the game, guys. Just got the memo. It was a different audio issue, not the same as last time. It has been quickly resolved. We had some rigorous testing going on. There's multiple backups available if anything breaks. So we'll get that working again. So we're back into the game right now. Mithy, before we had this pause, you were talking about Braum Moby boots, and more specifically because of the pairing with his jungler. How often do jungle support match up together dictate your item builds?
I'm guessing they should do it a bit more than they do for me, but in general, I think he had enough money to buy Sidestone and Tier 1 boots, and I would have probably gone for that instead of Tier 2 boots. It just makes a lot more sense, especially since you're going to be laning top anyway, for the most part. But I'm guessing they actually thought that they were going to swap for sure, and that H2K bottom was not going to match, and then the Moby boots were going to be better in an open.
And here we just see the classic, you have, teleport coming in. I'll talk later about the tower. Sivir gets popped and TP gets cancelled.
Oh, now they have TP priority.
Yeah, now they have TP priority because H2K has only 1 TP and FNC has 2 TPs. Also a very strong teleport and a Gangplank ult. Gangplank's ult is good, but his teleport is kind of useless. However, the mid lane TP of Febiven is very, very good. He picked up the Abyssal Scepter now, and Jankos is here to cover.
Yeah, they're desperately trying to prevent the tower from going down, it seems here.
And that's the Boon lands. Will come down. Exhaust.
If I was YellowStar right now, I would cry to my jungler to come top and put a ward behind the tower and just call the crew. Lissandra
bring in the Wrecking Crew?
Yeah, bring in the Wrecking Crew and just take that tower, get that first blood gold, sweet gold. And
that seems to be his Fnatic strategy here. We see very often Spirit grouping up, you know. I thought initially, or many people thought that it was like gank bot roam Snowball, but they're doing like the classic almost Season 4 thing where you just group with your jungler and siege a turret down.
Yeah, that's what you can do when you have the pressure. Not really a winning lane, but a pushing lane at least. You know, 20 CS is kind of winning, but he has the push going all the time. And Febiven can't really hit him back because if he hits him, he will just lose the trade with the bomb and spell shield in the end. So Nidalee just comes here and throws spears, hits towers, and nothing they can do about it. If they lane forever, it will just be a lost tower in the end, you know, and then no one gets anything.
Then what's the counter for H2K? How do they get out of this position? Do they swap away?
The
or do they need
counter
to
is
bring in their crew?
the draft phase, in my opinion. There's
no counter right now. They have to just understand that they're gonna lose this tower eventually, and they're trying to delay it for as long as possible. Echo has a good lane against GP, but right now Fnatic has double TP priority, and it's just gonna go wrong.
They tried with the TP from Echo, but the Gangplank ult is always there, and there's 2 TPs coming from FNC's side, so even if it's about to collapse on them, it will never work because they have the Sivir ult, the Gangplank ult, the Braum was good disengaging, so they will never really fight them. And look, Jankos is laning here to push out the wave with Febiven and Jankos. He's kind of holding their hand right now to help them push out, so late game they can scale better.
And this is essentially locking up Jankos then. So there's kind of 2 ways to deal with this if you're HTK. Like, either you lose it slowly, or you kind of sack it immediately and you go for what like casters like to call it cross-map play.
Yeah.
Do you think losing it slower is the better option of the two?
No, definitely not. It's really not a good idea for the H2K bot to make a play. Yeah, but they have double TP. If Braum blocks...
Rekkles is gonna die.
Oh my god, I can't believe it.
I think that was
that was really hard misplayed by Fnatic bot.
Yeah, that was horrible.
What was the misplay? Their positioning? Or
not only is that jungler on the as far away as he can be, they played a bit too aggressive, and I think Braum could have blocked the cocoon.
Braum could have blocked the cocoon and half of the damage that they did, and I think Rekkles' flash was also not so good.
Yeah, he flashed into the
spell shield. Yeah,
I mean, we can probably see it again. Observers are listening attentively to your directions.
Nice,
so
man, that's great. I think the
get
main
a
mistake
replay of
is that they were pushing way too far up when Spirit was actually doing the enemy team's red buff, so he should be aware that he's there, and obviously since Elise is not there, he's somewhere else, right? So he should be
This is the replay. So they're too far up right now, trying to like challenge the wave. And the second Febiven's walking up,
kind of. The problem here is that Rekkles spell shields the jump of the Tristana, not the stun of Taric or the cocoon, and YellowStar doesn't block it either. And
Rekkles spell shields not the stun, and then he flashes into the stun and doesn't flash away from the stun.
Yeah,
so
he flashed like diagonally a bit, and he will be fine. So
he
it
misplayed
was
everything he could have
misplayed gank, and also, in my opinion, too far up because they had to use all summoners to leave that one.
So Zven and Mithy would have not died here.
That's correct.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. But Zven and Mithy would have gotten that kill. As Tristana Taric.
I mean,
or would you guys have respected double teleport?
I can't rely on enemy AD carry not being able to flash properly, but I think if that was the case, then yeah, we would have gotten the kill.
I think you don't get the kill, but you just force summoners. It was 3 summoners used and a kill on top of that, so H2K bot didn't use anything at all, so I think that was kind of a disaster by Fnatic. They should have... This is their pressure moment, you know, and now the IH picked up by Febiven. I don't like that so much, but it's actually fine, in my opinion. I like the runs more, but...
Yeah, Freak is a big fan of saying that IH versus is not stat efficient. Do you agree with that? Do you usually just go components and then next item?
Stat efficient, I'm not sure about that, but I go with the field a lot of times, but I think that the Hurricane provides more than the IH. IH doesn't give so much when it's alone IH. It's better when it has a seal or something to back it up with, the crit. But here, as you can see, the gank that Jankos did kind of stabilized the lane for H2K, and now they're able to get this tower, and that's kind of where FNC lost their advantage, you know, they had the draft going for them, the pressure lane, they were almost having the tower, they forced the TP from Echo, who killed G1 by the way, a little bit ago, and they kind of like messed up their chance to get a tower here and like improve the map, and yeah, dying to this gank cost them 1 tower, a kill, and although they still had the advantage in CS, the goal is probably the same now for them, so...
And is that, you said Spirit was as far as he humanly possibly could be on the other side of the map. Is that a mistake maybe from Spirit? Just not grouping and finishing off the tower?
I don't think so. I think Spirit had a good opportunity to base and
do a full clear.
Yeah, he could do a full clear really fast with the Nidalee jungle, of course, and he also had vision of the enemy teams both sides, and he could cover his Gangplank who was losing lanes. So I think it was a good call by Spirit, but maybe bad communication or just bad play from FNC's bot lane. I think they should have died there, and yeah, that would cost them a lot.
They also had TP priority, at least on Lissandra, and Echo had no TP, and Elise was basically laning top for 3 minutes until they got their priority back up. So during that time, they could have even laned 3 versus 2 and pressured another side of the map if Fnatic wanted to. So yeah, I think overall they just put their eggs on the wrong basket, and that basket kind of crumbled when they misplayed
bad basket. Bad game by basket. Looking at the push here, Mithy, you said earlier Echo would push in, Vladimir would push in. That's happening right now, so bonus points for correct prediction. How do you react to that as a jungler, as YellowStar? Like, where do you go for your wards, and do you need Spirit there? Because from watching games personally, I feel like YellowStar and Spirit as a jungler support combo, like they almost never work together for vision, and that's what makes it hard. Is that something you have seen yourself or you agree with?
I don't notice it so much. I don't notice that they don't play so well together or not, because it's hard for me to notice, but I notice on the other hand when some teams play good as a two-man unit, and H2K is one of those teams. I think Vander and Jankos play very well together, and they're actually really annoying to play against because they're just always tag teaming each other. So yeah, I can notice that, but so yeah, that's the one thing. And then if I was Braum, and what I would be doing this game is, now that there's open lanes, I would put the dual lane mid and go 1-3-1 and just ward my side lanes and whoever lane is pressuring if I'm Fnatic. But I think right now Lissandra and Echo both don't win side lanes against Vladimir, and I mean, yeah, GP and Lissandra don't win side lanes against Echo and Vladimir, so...
Yeah, so it's very hard to find a way out. We see the Sivir ulti traded there for potential pick-off and Jankos, flash burned. Who wins out on that trade? Sven, do you think that's worth? Is H2K happy with Sivir ulti being down for a flash, or was it just that necessary?
Nah, the Drake already was taken 1 minute ago by H2K, so there's nothing to fight for at this point unless you have a random fight appearing, so the Sivir ult is worth it to use for a flash. But now we see FNC moving to a 1-3-1, they have double TP obviously. I think Echo is winning against GP really hard, so it's not going too good for Fnatic, and also Tristana is totally fine mid against Sivir. So I don't think this 1-1 will have the effect they want, but Sivir is obviously great at doing exactly that what you see on the screen there, W on the minions, and if you could try to contest it, you will get damaged by the crits, and yeah.
So Tristana never has priority on the lane?
He doesn't have priority, but he can match it fair enough because of the items he has now, so he's totally fine in that mid lane. Once he gets the Hurricane, he'll be completely fine.
The main plan for Fnatic now is to make a cross-map play wherever Vladimir is not, since Vladimir has no TP, so that's kind of what should probably be their next play, because they're most likely going to be pressured on both side lanes, and mid lane is going to be equal, and they're just not going to scale well into team fights either against this team comp, so they need to force something happen on Echo's lane right now, or the game will slowly. You
say make a cross-map play. How does that work for like the average viewer out there? Like, what step one is that? Like walk in deep ward, because then you're face checking. Like, how do you start building a cross-map play?
So it's not that hard in this situation, because Vladimir has no TP right now, so as soon as Lissandra has the opportunity to push out the wave so that she doesn't lose too much when she's TPing, you just look for a ward on the bot side of the map and just collapse on the Echo that is kind of overextended right now, even though it's Echo, and just try and make a play on that side.
Oh, the ult going down?
Ooh. They're instead making a play top side.
And nice flash, XD. What? I think he should have maybe flashed before the ult of Lissandra came down, or the Braum ult maybe, but flashing when you're obviously dead is just a sign of yeah, or trolling or something like that. But so
that was actually smart by Fnatic, because I think H2K knew that they wanted to make a play on the other side of the map, and instead what Fnatic did was, since Vladimir wanted to just push the waves and make Lissandra lose something for TPing, they instead went on the Lissandra, and I mean on the Vladimir, and he didn't kind of expect it. So
we have some spoilers from Zven, who was watching the other stream. What happens, Zven?
I think Echo just E'd and used his right click on the tower, not on Gangplank, so that sucks for him a lot. That's the kind of one where you really don't want to play anymore. But overall, this Gangplank Echo matchup is going to be a problem for Fnatic in this game. Gangplank is at his tower all game. Only thing he's doing is pressing R once in a while to assist his team, and they use it on his own tower. So Echo has a third CS advantage, a kill from a solo kill and one from the gank from Jankos earlier. So I think FNC is kind of having a problem here, as Echo is soon going to kill this guy over and over and have more pressure, so he can move everywhere in the map and be everywhere, whereas Gangplank can't really push without vision because he can't see anything. So he's just the ult right now, a bot basically.
So going over the roles again, Zven, what's the role here for an AD carry? Is it just literally just sitting mid and wave clearing, or is there more finesse to it?
You just kill minions, and then you wait 30 seconds while you're on Facebook, and you go back and kill minions again. Look, you just walk around waiting for the next wave to come, and that's Sivir is wave clearing and Tristana is pushing. It's just that, you know. And then at some point you can go, if you have priority, like Rekkles has right now, he can go to the side lane and you can maybe get that ward down with YellowStar, or you can take the crap, you know, or something like this. He can move first to a fight happening on side lane, so his side lanes can push a bit more. That's basically what they do right now.
The thing is, the general plan right now is that H2K has 2 winning side lanes, and they can just go equal in mid. So what they want to do right now is just choke them out, choke Fnatic out of their camps, their towers. Just poke them slowly, and eventually, whenever they take mid tower, they're just gonna have complete control of the game. So that's most likely what they want to play for now. The Taric is most likely gonna move into one of the side lanes, probably bot side right now, since Echo is really far up. So if I was Taric, I would move on the bot side of the map, get deep wards, and let Echo collapse on the mid lane together with Vladimir and go for that tier 3 mid tower. That should be the game plan of H2K, and once that mid tower is down, they can start just choking Fnatic out of vision and out of everything, and get every objective and just scale well into late game and get every Drake, get every Nash if they possibly can, and just win the game slowly from that.
We see them kind of setting up for Dragon, it seems, as well. What's the two-step guide, three-step guide for Mithy? How do you like set up for your Dragon right now? If you're Vander, what's your main objective? What are you looking at?
Well, I mean, he has stacks on Sidestone right now, so if I was Vander, I would not be there. I would be on the other side, and I would wait for my Echo to push to basically just set up the wave on bot into the tier 2 of Fnatic, and then Echo moves with me into the enemy jungle together with my jungler, and we get deep wards on.
So you would go from the bot lane as opposed to scooping from mid?
No, I would go through the mid lane, but Echo would meet me up from the bot lane, and then we will have 3 members on their jungle. We will clear their wards. We will put our own wards, and therefore when they come to face check their own bot side jungle, we will already be at Drake doing it, and they will just not be able to stop it.
Also another thing, if you want to play with Drake, you should have the guy without TP on bot lane. Basically Vladimir on bot lane and Echo on top, so that Echo can TP in the fight. Because if right now there's a fight at Drake, Vladimir won't be in that fight, whereas Febiven will be in the fight because he has still teleport up, obviously. So I think H2K is not playing for Drake right now, unless Ryu moves to the Drake right now, then it's fine. But if you want to have a split pusher on top lane while you're doing Drake, you should have your guy with TP there, not the guy without TP.
Fnatic's seemingly weaker. Do you think they're going to take this fight, guys? Or just going to maybe...
They're behind in gold by 1,000, but I think overall the fight is not bad. They have Yumo's Ghost Blade, Triforce, 2M Sivir, but they don't need to take a fight.
To fight, and H2K has not taken the proper steps, so they're basically Fnatic is actually able to walk into the fight and maybe go for a 50-50, but
Spirit is
not
gone.
really.
Spirit is dead. Okay, sucks. This flashing out. This fight is disaster. Oh, good barrel combo.
They can go Baron now.
We saw Febiven in the top lane base. There wasn't a teleport channel, he was just basing to then maybe teleport in. That looks to me like just major miscommunication or almost like a kind of reaction play from Spirit. Do you think there was like lack of communication?
I think it was just a bit too forced. They forced a bit too hard the whole let's fight for Drake situation when they didn't have the proper wards to fight it for Febiven to...
Oh, maybe.
And now they just they eventually managed to collapse in the mid tower with the Taric ult, which is really strong at this kind of like fake dive or even just dive situations. And now that they have the mid tower, they can properly choke out the game. They also have their mountain Drake. So if I was H2K right now, I would base and I would get the wards, get the vision, get the pink wards. Please, guys, get the pink wards, and then just play for Baron.
I think Fnatic was way too late on that one. If they want to fight, they should have been ready, like Febiven in base, or they had no TP wards for him either, and the fight was way too late. It was already done before they got into the fight, and Febiven, Spirit got insta-gived in that fight, and I think they were just not ready for that fight, and it was probably a better call to give it up. It's only a mountain Drake in the end, it's not an infernal Drake or something like that, so I think the call was to give it up is better than to fight it.
You rate Infernal over Mountain for sure?
Yeah, every time.
And losing mid tower is a real big deal in competitive play. Mid tower, when one team has the mid tower and the other team doesn't, it creates so much vision advantage for one team that it kind of just swings the game in one side really hard once you get the mid tower. The side lanes are not so much, but the mid tower is extremely important.
The mid tower is really important if you have a mage mid, but if you have a champ like Sivir that can safety clear, it's not as bad. But if you have a mage like Victor Asir, it's you almost want to FF the game.
And why is that?
Because these champs are good because they can hold mid tower forever and therefore have the vision advantage. But if you have a champ like Lissandra go silent anyway, it doesn't really do as much. So FNC is behind on map right now, but they're still going to be okay in the game. They have 1 tower to 3, but the goal is still fine, and I think they have to just let themselves get choked out a bit in this map here. And as you see, Echo is at tower, Vladimir is kind of at tower as well, and H2K is pushing midway first, and then moving to jungle together as 4 here, as you can see. All doing blue up. Everyone is pressuring something, and eventually the map will be only division for H2K.
Close.
And meanwhile, FNC will have only defensive wards, so they have no play to make. You know, they have no TP wards. They have no.
Yeah, they're waiting for a mistake.
Yeah,
right now.
you just see Rekkles and YellowStar are standing there, pressing S, waiting for the wave to push. Febiven, Vander moving with Jankos, scanning the area here, getting probably deep wards here and there. They have 1 ward on the Jankos sidestone. Here, taking a pink ward. You know, creating pressure, and then at some point, they make either a pick or they make a call to the Rush Nash with the Mountain Drake, but it should have pink wards placed in that pit. But
yeah, there seems to be a distinct lack of pink ward. Mithy.
Yeah, Vladimir. You know, I was actually checking. Vladimir bought a pink ward based, and it still has pink ward. Look at him. He didn't even place it.
Yeah.
Knowing your pain.
This is a daily routine in our house.
How much
guys,
is it still
buy a pink, save a life.
I mean, thank God I don't notice this. You know, when I'm on the spectator now and I see this, and Doesn't treat me too well.
Yeah, usually on ADs you should buy ping boards as when you have spots for it, but later in the game you don't have spots.
You
But
need
now
that call,
both,
of course.
of course, the cool is 7 AD, bro. It's actually a lot, you know, in the end. But I think that H2K needs a lot more ping boards. They have only 1 on top side of the map right now, 2 actually, and they need at least 4 to have a good pressure in this game. And if they have 4 ping boards and there's only 2 orbs on the FNC side of the map, they can easily choke out of vision and at some point get a pick or rush Nash with the Mountain Drake.
I would also like to see Echo instead of trolling bot lane. Oh, actually, he's getting a kill. He's not trolling. He's
so good.
Yeah, look at him, and he escapes. Odoamne.
Oh, Echo is faker, I think. Oh, Sivir ulted pop. Braum's coming in. This is not gonna. Oh shit!
They're getting tier 2 top now out of this play, and Odoamne is surviving too. And now they have full vision at Nash too, so they can even rush Nash after.
H2K Smeb is what you guys are saying.
Yeah. Echo is too good.
This game just opened up right now, getting the top tower, and Echo is just carrying this game right now for H2K. The first blood that he got basically made the game right now, it seems.
I guess in the end that picking Elise over a teamfight jump is working out for H2K. Jankos he got a gank earlier on and he got one here again, and they get a tower on top. They get Echo really far ahead, and it's just it's not out of control for Fnatic now. And now with no towers on the top side, they can push the wave really deep and get super easy deep wards. And then at some point, someone has to face check, and there's no tanks on FNC side.
Who do we send in?
Yeah, someone has to go in and be the one, you know.
the one that wants to drop KDA, and that's not me.
Mithy, are you a KDA player?
Yeah, definitely. You can see the split.
They have 2 orbs and some tools like the Nidalee traps and the spears, but overall, at some point, someone will face check and someone will die, or someone will get picked off randomly somewhere, and yeah, it's not good.
Here we see. Here's the 1v1.
Oh.
So how faker is he?
Oh, that's a true outplay. Oh, wow, so good.
Echo is so good.
He's just really far ahead of.
Obviously Snowball.
He can just press all his keys and just kill him no matter what. So
yeah, and here even though Braum mad lives him, he hits the auto actually goes in for the out there, so he props the 3 attacks to get the movement speed buff, which is really balanced, and he just runs away from the Sivir ult. Although Sivir has 3 items now, which is her power spike, and Gangplank is hitting 2.5 item. I think right now they're too far behind on map to get a fight that they want. They won't get this 5-5 fight that they can shine in with the GP ult, Lissandra ult, Sivir damage. So I think H2K will just not have a bad fight ever happen, and they will probably just get maybe the Drake, and then they will choke him out of vision again.
So a lot of fans are watching at home right now, and they're saying, well, Fnatic's not doing anything. They're just waiting for H2K to roll over. Like we saw in bottom lane too, that was no skill kill. You guys would say like, what's the counter then? Is it just to drop a single tower and then force a fight somewhere and hope it works out?
It's draft. Once you the thing is the way the game works right now. If both teams are really good.
Man, again.
This replay?
No, it's.
Oh man, it's not a replay, bro. I'm sorry.
That's painful to watch.
Yeah, so now the problem happens that there's no side towers except for the Nexus, inhibitor towers. So Echo will be able to push the wave to inhibitor tower, and he can actually like threaten the dive on mid tower. So I think H2K can actually collapse on the mid tower now and get that tower with 2 side waves pushing to the next the tier 3 towers. And at some point,
I would like for Echo to kind of like move out of vision into mid lane,
towers,
or just
go in bot, bro.
You know? That's nice.
And here is the guy who face checks, and he's probably gonna die. Nice flash. Oh, yes, lives. No, joke.
Okay,
and Vladimir is here too, and this. Oh, he flashed over. Vladimir follows him. Cocoon lands, and it's time to take Nash. And
yeah,
I mean, I think Cassie shouldn't call out games to be over, but they got 2 kills on top, and they got a.
You sound like my producer. Like, guys, they can still win, you know. Somehow.
Yeah, but they can still win, but they really can't win anymore. Although here is
trolling.
Yeah, he should take the tower and run away. But
I mean, we call it putting pressure for the cross map play.
Yeah, that's true. Look at.
Holy,
just
that pressure.
Yeah.
So good. I'm sure they wouldn't have gone in without the pressure on bot.
It's okay. It's okay. He can die. He can die. He had a good game today. So.
Yeah, probably had 5k golden base too. So
yeah, that's true.
So it all went like wrong at this point. This is the point where you basically have to backtrack to the major mistake. Does this go all the way back to YellowStar and Rekkles dying on the top lane?
Or was there
back to that sounds so sad, but I think it's kind of true.
It's not only that, it's also the fact that the Gangplank has a major BG in this game, which comes from the draft, and probably his play, because Kikis probably said, pick GP into Echo, it's fine for me. But then one gank happened, and it's not fine anymore. And
he also died to an obvious gank, because he knew Elise was topside.
That is also true. And then the fact that they have...
let me check.
And then they have jungle Nidalee, who can't really gank Echo anyway, so once they fall behind, there's nothing they can do about it, you know, and then they just get starved out of vision. One guy face checks, one guy was 1-1 again, and no one can do anything, and there's no since they're getting choked out of vision, they have no deep wards for teleports, and then there's just nothing they can do anymore. The combo is all about either winning lane phase with a Sivir Braum against those two champs with the Nidalee pressure, and then there's TP coming in from Lissandra, but there's no deep wards, and Gangplank is getting destroyed in top lane 1v1, so it can't even use ult to help other lanes to dive, you know. So it kind of comes down to that mistake that Rekkles and YellowStar did in the lane phase, and also
the lack of teleport plays maybe in reaction to that. Because
Yeah.
I feel like personally Febiven could have teleported into the Drake
Yeah.
fight if Fnatic want to force it as a team.
But he didn't have a, like on his defense, he didn't have a good ward to
Yeah,
TP on
exactly.
because H2K choked them out. So the ideal play for Fnatic was to use the fact that they had TP priority for 3 minutes and
Yeah.
just make a force play on the top lane, on the top side of the map.
oh, and here we
That's
see
probably
another
the only
guy
thing they
for a
could have
space
done.
check, and he also goes down, gives a kill to Tristana. Tristana is 4.5 item.
H2K has an easy time now just choking them out and getting Baron, and once they get Baron, that kind of sentences the game. So we can talk about what they did wrong if you
Yeah.
want, because this is going to be just like a very smooth,
Yeah.
clean out game where
Yeah,
Honestly,
obviously.
with the champs they have, they can just walk up tower and trample his E once and right clicks it once, and then he just no hands the tower. And
Tristana also buying QSS even though he doesn't need it, just to
can't
like
die.
be sure
There's
to...
nothing. It's
just-
a good
yeah.
item, I think, against Lissandra, just in case. And there's nothing that FNC can do at this point. I think their comeback play here is H2K screwing up, or Sivir somehow magically getting 5 hits in a row and killing everyone with ricochets in team fights. But as you can see, Vladimir can probably face tank the entire enemy team, and Taric was down, Nash buff is on, and it's just time to...
What does it do to you? Because this was a very one-sided loss, not in the sense gold-wise, but it was kind of slowly getting choked out, you know, based on 1 or 2 mistakes plus draft. Does that hit you mentality-wise in a best of 5?
yeah, next game ban Echo and big GB again, and maybe it's better the next time.
I think they learned some things about their draft. I think what you get from this game as Fnatic is kind of like more than anything paying attention to what went wrong in the draft, because Echo had a really easy time on the top lane, and that kind of showed when he killed GP like 3 times 1v1. And on top of that, their winning condition, which was their bold lane in terms of pressure and in terms of like making something happen with the Braum and Sivir winning the lane, also was like went completely wrong, because the Sivir and Braum died and lost their tower 2v2, because not 2v2 but because of the Elise gank. So it everything just went wrong. They had no pressure point in the map, and they're just...
On the other hand, you can say that FNC picked Sivir and Braum first rotation, so if H2K didn't pick a lane that was able to get pressured, they would never have any weak point in this game, right?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's a kind of a bad draft by Fnatic, I think, because H2K could have picked something else in Tristana and Taric and just had won that lane phase, and then there wouldn't have been any option for FNC at all in this game. So
You need to make use of your chrono picks.
Yeah,
later. So if your first
exactly.
rotation, you can't rely on your first rotation to be a pressure point, because that obviously gives
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
yeah,
Their
exactly.
pressure point was... that's a really good point
H2K
by
first
Sven.
picked Echo, so if H2K first picks Echo, either Echo is OP, or else you must have a chance to pressure somewhere else with the last pick GP, you know? So I think FNC... Oh,
Odoamne.
free losing fight. Oh, Febiven is gonna die.
I think
The bounces are doing damage, but there's nothing they can do.
Even just
Oh,
right-clicking
flashing,
with
flashing!
Hurricane.
Oh, I
Penta,
wanted.
Penta.
Bye. Oh, God Given is coming, guys.
a hashtag Wrecking Crew or a hashtag All Given?
I think the game just kind of snowballed from small mistakes, and one more small mistake and one more small mistake, and then honestly this game Odoamne kind of carried alone a bit with Jankos. One gank translated into so much pressure in this game, and the draft phase of FNC was horrific in my opinion. It should never have...
Oh, Odoamne just leaving already.
Yeah,
Too easy.
he's the boss
GG,
here.
too easy.
What a disaster of a game for FNC. And I think the draft was the main problem anyway, so they're not like too sad about this game. The draft and the play, especially on the top side of the map, was not the greatest, so I think next game they're just gonna have a really easy time identifying their draft mistakes, honestly. This game they can't do anything, so they should be able to like figure out what went wrong for them.
For me, like Spirit is a jungler that will like always go Nidalee over like a gankling jungler like Gragas. Do you think that may be a problem for Fnatic stylistically? Because if you have maybe a gankling jungler to kind of put the nail in the coffin in that top lane tower.
I honestly think he played well on Nidalee, but I don't really like Nidalee right now on this patch. But I think the reason they picked Nidalee, I think they have the same idea as I have, that Nidalee is not so strong. But the reason they picked it was because it's a best of 5, and if you get a good Nidalee game on the first game, you force a 5-game ban, and that's really important in coming into a best of series.
We're gonna see a Tristana ban here. So.
I very much doubt that. But I think I agree with Nidalee pick. I don't like it so much. I like junglers that can tank or gank. That's literally what you have to do in this meta. If you can't gank or if you can't tank, you're not doing anything. And Nidalee is really that. She can't gank and she can't tank. She can only pressure. So it works well if you have lanes that are winning, like the Braum and the Sivir in this game. But they shouldn't have been winning in the first place because of the draft of H2K. So I think it's the super out of place pick that should never have worked out in the first place. And I think H2K should not pick this bottom lane matchup. And then if they didn't pick those champs, FNC would have lost without even like trying.
Yep. All right. That sums it up from us, guys. We're going to head it over to the analyst desk to listen what Shocks, Jankos, and Perks have to say about this beauty of a game.
Speak for jungle. But the middle matchup itself is like Lissandra can just perma push, and Vladimir has the pressure of like forcing her out of the lane. I doubt Vladimir can ever kill Lissandra. But Vladimir also wins on silence, so I don't think it was the smartest to pick it so early from Fnatic. Definitely not smart last pick in jungle, I think. So.
Well, before we continue, welcome to the viewers from the bot lane stream. They are checking out this banter as opposed to what I heard was very informative stuff over on LCS2, but we're also very informative just about different things. Senkox, you said, for me, it would always be the Elise because she's just so much stronger in the early game.
Well, as a mid laner, it's really frustrating to play against Elise because you're forced to take cleanse so many times. And I think in general it has more early pressure than Nidalee. And also, I agree with Perks that saving the last pick for jungle is really weird. Especially when they first pick Echo and then you show Lissandra and then you can just pick Vladimir into it. And even though like Lissandra can push early, like it's just hard training for Vlad and he will never lose any HP and he can just stay in the game and he will win split. So.
And something that Senkox was very vocal about throughout the entire game was, what has Nidalee done this game? You know, what actually has this Nidalee provided to the team of Fnatic? Because yes, Spirit was helping out his bottom half of the map a lot during the early laning phase, trying to help us set up that early tower dive, but other than that, there was very little that Spirit could really offer to the team. And if you just compared his impact relative to Jankos, it resulted in Jankos being able to snowball a pretty hefty lead in the early game.
Yeah, and that goes straight into our first replay that you guys wanted to take another look at. Of course, a lot was said on the 2 versus 2, but it was more the jungle influence that tilted it in the one or the other favor.
Well, I think this was just a misplay by Fnatic bottom heavily. First, Rekkles spell shielded at Tristana W. When he should have just, they both should have just flashed away from Tristana W, so then get slowed, and then Braum can block the Elise cocoon. And the stun, I don't know about stun, but Rekkles can special it and they would be fine. Or maybe one would die,
that
or maybe
was really fast.
Yeah, or maybe YellowStar would die at the worst. But I think it was just mainly a misplay from Fnatic bot lane, even playing that aggressively or so far up when Elise was laning with them for 2 minutes. So definitely a misplay.
Yeah, it was just generally like their bot lane was really greedy with the summoners in the beginning, and then they waste spell shield kind of on the Tristana W, and then he doesn't block the cocoon, so it's pretty doomed for them.
And I found it interesting how very little we saw from the Lissandra influence in the side lanes, as well as the Gangplank ultimate, because something that you guys were talking about a lot was the number of globals that Fnatic actually had, but we didn't see very much of it during the early game.
Well, GP, well, Echo is used as a counter pick to GP. Even though I think it can be like a 5-5 lane, like an equal lane. Kikis got pretty stumped this game, and he refused to build the Maw of Memortius versus triple AP, so I think that's a big misplay. Also, it goes back to Fnatic draft that H2K blind picked Echo, and they picked GP into Echo, and then they Fnatic blind picked Lissandra instead of just last picking mid. They could have possibly had 2 counter picks in solo lanes, and instead they had like 2 losing matchups. So it goes back to the draft, but also goes back to the play. Odoamne kind of carried this game, and yeah.
He was fired up. We could hear him screaming all the way up here.
Yeah, but it's also just in general, when you draft like this, you have no winning split pushers pretty much late game, because Lissandra's not meant to really 1v1 later. She's more of like a team fight flanker and like initiator, and I don't know. I don't think GP is supposed to split against Echo either in the game, especially not when he builds like this and dies 4 times or something 1v1. So
yeah,
unlucky.
You guys, even though H2K did really well, you did want to take another look at that Ryu death early in the game. So this is not. They wanted to take another look, and you said, "Oh, he might be starting to tilt here," but it didn't.
Well, I think Ryu here was just doing a classical what I would do. Go on silent and just die because
drawing
he has no
pressure,
vision.
Perks. You're drawing pressure.
So and then the flash in the end, the game is light.
I think that's some H2K at playoffs.
Yeah,
it started.
With all that, in any case, with all that, they were still pretty even when it came to the 20-minute mark and the 23. Fnatic was still in it. So, do you just think that they kind of gave up mentally already at that point?
I think they had weaker champs on everything but bot lane, so they couldn't really contest vision. They couldn't even push in with Sivir, so they just faltered to their champs of H2K, which pushed their silence deep, and then they could get free wards into enemy jungle and just catch vision, set up vision around Nash and catch Spirit, and then they got free Nash of that, and after that the game is over. So
yeah, it's like when you have two side lanes that doesn't win and they get both pushed in, it's really like even though your 3 mid will win, like it's really hard to do anything with it because you can't really rotate. They will rotate back and then they will get mid and they will have push in all 3 lanes and then it's pretty hard to play the game.
So Fnatic did pick blue side for the next match. They now have their new coach Nico in there as well. So maybe they are also still adjusting in the live environment to their picks and ban strategy.
Yeah, I mean, they did shift up their bans from what we saw yesterday, banning away the Irelia and the Gnar. Do you guys think that there should be so much top lane focus in the ban right now, or do you think that it should be centered more towards the bottom half of the map?
Well, Kikis has been carrying Fnatic for like in regular season. Today, first game wasn't his best performance, obviously, but I can see if Kikis getting something like Gnar that he can have more impact than he had in this game. So it'll be interesting with Fnatic with the first pick. Maybe they will go for Karma or for Gnar. Maybe Shen for Kikis. We will see what their first pick, but I think blue side can benefit them.
I also think like when you ban Aurelia and Gnar, it's like Aurelia is supposed to be a counter to Echo. We saw that in the other match as well, but like then they first pick Echo and then there's no real counters left and then they counter pick themselves with the GP. So at least something needs to be changed over top lane.
Yeah, we will see what happens. We are going to take a quick break as we see H2K there convening for going into Game 2. They have taken this Game 1 in this best-of-5 quarterfinal. We are going to take a break, and also to remind you that over on EULCS 2, you can check out the bot lane stream after break. But before we go, we're going to have a listen to YellowStar reflecting on the summer split.
This split, and more specifically this year, has been very unstable for me, whether as an individual or as a team. We've met many struggles for the first time. It's really the first year where Fnatic is not like placing at the top. We're meeting like a lot of good teams and we're not performing up to our standards. And we went through like roster changes and we couldn't like find an identity to make a name. And I think even though we're struggling a lot, we are going to do our best for playoffs. We have the reputation of showing up at playoffs, even though we have a mediocre regular season. Now we just have to go all in.